This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by promoter Frank Warren here in the beautiful city of Birmingham. Frank, you've come to my doorstep. You brought big time boxing to Birmingham. How are you?
Well, I'm good. I thought we'd do you a nice treat and bring the show here, especially for you, Andy.
I appreciate that, Frank. And in return, I'm taking yourself, hopefully, and the team to the railway in for a mixed grill. Frank, you got to come. You got to give the fans what they want to see.
Going back this evening and back again tomorrow, so unfortunately I can't go. I'd love to have gone otherwise.
Frank, I'm gutted to hear that you won't be there, but we're still here in Birmingham with great fights to look forward to on Saturday night. Let's just start away from the top and work down. Nathan Heaney, tough fight with Brad Pauls. What are you expecting? What does Nathan have to do to get his hand raised?
I think it's going to be a very competitive fight. You know, Nathan's on a massive roll at the moment, and he's gone from strength to strength in his career, and I think he's defied a lot of people's thoughts as how far he could go in the sport. And he gets better every fight. But he's in with a tough customer this time, and it's a little bit of a reverse from the time he fought against Denzel, where everybody thought Denzel was going to be a pretty comfortable fight for him, which it obviously turned out not to be the case. And some people feel that Nathan's going to be in a very strong position. So he's got to be top of his game. And he's, as I say, he's in with a guy who seems to me be very, very confident. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Frank, when you find somebody like a Nathan Heaney who upsets the odds, achieves more than what he might have thought at the beginning of his career, or at least goes on to achieve what he wanted to, how do you find trying to manage and then guide his career so that he can continue to progress at the right path and doesn't have all that fan expectation of him being pushed a little bit too hard or too fast?
Well, look, I mean it with the greatest respect. He's not a youngster, and he's. You've got to look at all the hard work he puts into it. I mean, all fighters work hard, but he's a thorough professional. He's as fit as a butcher's dog. He does everything that he needs to do in the ring. He's certainly doing everything outside the ring with the following that he's got. So he's a very popular guy, and he's popular for a reason. He's a nice person, and he's delivering. And when I say delivering, I mean the fight against Denzel came off of that loss in challenging for a world title. And again, I'll repeat myself, but if he'd have fought the first 4 rounds of that fight, if he'd have been more authoritative in those 4 rounds, he could have won that fight. And he gave the champion probably his toughest fight. And then Denzel's in the ring with Nathan, and Nathan does a masterclass of boxing. So it shows you at his best, he's up there world level, and who knows? I mean, if he comes through this fight, we will definitely try and do something for him at Stoke, at the football ground during the summer. We really want to do that. We want to deliver it for him. And the reason we want to deliver it for him is because he deserves it. He thoroughly deserves it.
Liam Davies in a tough fight. What are you expecting from Liam? How does Liam go about navigating this next bout?
He is in with a tough opponent. It is a tough fight. But, every fight he gets better and better. He gets stronger and stronger, and he's been doing brilliantly. And again, he's got tremendous self-belief. He really does believe in himself and what he's capable of doing. And I again feel that he's a guy who's definitely going to go places. But this on paper is his toughest fight yet.
The juggernaut, Joe-Joyce, returns, Frank. We've seen a lot of heavyweights in recent weeks. How good is it to see him back? And he's been in positive spirits, seeing him walk around with a smile on his face. 2 tough defeats, but it's clear that hasn't stopped him.
Well, look, as you say, a lot of things happen in this heavyweight division. It's like a bit of a merry-go-round. I mean, a defeat is not the end of the world. And, 2 defeats, but the first one was a terrible eye injury. And looking at that and looking at Zile's last fight against Joe-Parker, I think he was I don't know if he was, but there was that feeling he was tiring in the first fight. Who knows? But second fight obviously was very emphatic. It was an emphatic win. But look, this is a chance now for Joe to get back in the swing. This is not a gimme. I don't think, again, with Cash, that he's just showing up. They jumped at the chance of the fight. They fancy themselves, so we'll see. But if Joe can come through this, and if he does come through it, then he's going to be in a big fight next time round. But he's got to come through it.
I know you don't look too far into the future, but you mentioned a big fight next up. There's always been that talk of a potential Daniel Dubois rematch. We're seeing all those heavyweight fighters go out to Saudi. What route do we go down, Frank? Do we see Joyce Dubois 2 this year?
It all depends what happens on Saturday. You generally just see, let's see what happens on Saturday.
So I can ask you after the show, after the fight.
100% ask me after the show.
I'll hold you to that, Frank. Frank, also Dennis McCann and Brad Strand, a great fight there.
That's a cracker. I mean, that is a cracker. You know, they're two different personalities, but they're two good fighters, and they both genuinely believe they can win the fight. Both of them are really big on this. I've spoken to both of them about it, but they really do both fancy the job, and I think we're going to get a cracker. I mean, that for me could be the standout fight of the night. We'll see.
Frank, a bit more time now to reflect on a hectic week last week. What do you take away from a great knockout chaos out in Saudi Arabia?
Well, I thought it was a brilliant event. AJ, on the strength of the way he done the job, has got himself well and truly back in, as far as the public's concerned, into the mix, and all the comparisons are going on, and I'm reading all the various so-called boxing experts and everybody telling us how we should be running our business, what we should be doing and we shouldn't be doing. Yet we are doing well and we're delivering. For him, for AJ, it was the perfect opportunity to get himself back in there, and he came off of a decent win against Wallin, and he's in the mix now. So his next fight, he's going to have to step up. There's no doubt about that. It will be a step up for him, his next fight. But really, you know, all eyes will be on May the 18th, because that's, as far as the heavyweight division, as far as boxing is concerned, it's the blue ribbon event. First time this century that the four belts have been fought for, and also, for me, the biggest fight of the century. Two undefeated fighters, both got impeccable records, and and the winner of that is going to have the bragging rights. He's going to be the number one, and all these guys are going to be jostling around to get into a position to fight him, to get him to defend either all the belts or some of the belts. But it's exciting times for the heavyweight division, and so that fight has really added a bit more spice to the heavyweight division. Parker came through it. Joe Parker, excellent win. I don't think there was a lot in it. It was the 8th round was the last knockdown, wasn't it? But Zhang started to tire, and he did show it. He tired a bit. I don't know whether that's his age or what it was, but he got tired in the fight, and Joe got through, and he got it through grit and determination, and he was a bit tired himself at the end. But Joe done well. He's one of the nice guys in boxing, and now again, that's a 5th win on the trot since he got defeated by Joe, and again shows you that you can turn your career coming off the stoppage from Joe. So there's some good fights for him to be involved with there. He's now the WBO interim champion. He's the mandatory challenger for the title. So everybody again is focused on, or heavyweights are all focused on the 18th.
Frank, just sticking with the theme of Anthony Joshua, you said that you've seen a lot of the comments from the so-called experts since that fight. A few people have kind of changed their tune or their opinion as to how they think a potential Fury-Joshua fight would play out now. Is that a surprise to you? What have you made of anyone who's maybe tilting towards AJ on the back of his most recent performance?
Listen, they can change their opinions. Fighters can have off nights and so forth. And there were other circumstances, but I'm not even going to go there with that, because excuses are not needed. You know, on a bad night, Tyson got a win, and that's what you do. And at the end of the day, we will see. Tyson, I genuinely believe Tyson will win the fight on the 18th. And if he does that, he's beat the guy who stopped AJ twice. Sorry, not stopped him, beat him twice. Who beat him twice and convincingly beat him.
Frank, with Joyce-Bakole, I saw your man Dev Sani put a graphic out of a heavyweight crop that you currently boast, and Parker's name was on that list. Can you tell me about the deal that you guys have? Is it just on the back of a Zhang fight? Is it a rematch? What?
He's contracted to us.
Is that just on a one-fight basis on the back of a rematch?
That's our business, my son. Confidentiality clauses in the contracts.
He's a Frank Warren fighter officially.
We'd be putting it up there otherwise, wouldn't we?
That's perfectly put, Frank. And also just a word on Nick Ball. Again, devastating reaction on the night. A lot of people felt that Nick had done more than enough to win.
I have not one person I spoke to thought the other guy won. Not one. Genuinely, not one. I've not heard it from anybody. And it was terrible what they did to him. And I spoke with Mauricio Sulaiman, and he will remain at number one for what that's worth. He's going to reign at number one, and we're going to see what happens, whether a rematch is ordered or not, because they've got an interim champion who's supposed to be fighting. But more importantly, and talking about officials and how we should change it, and having like the equivalent of a boxing VAR in being introduced and bringing in. I mean, if you bring in a VAR for that fight, what are you going to do? Replay the whole fight back again and rescore it? And let's just say you have 6 or 10 or 8 judges, whatever it may be. So what difference is it going to make? If three of them see, I mean, those three couldn't. Between them was so varied. A draw, a 6th round in our man's favour, and the other guy inexplicably made Vargas a winner by 2 rounds. It was just a mess. What needs to be done? You want to make boxing consistent. You want to focus these officials. First of all, get top quality officials, and secondly, if they get it wrong, demote them, like they do in football. If you're in the Premiership and you have a bad decision or you play a bad game, you go down. And you've got to you go back to do whatever you have to do to re-establish yourself. That's what needs to be done. Not, next week, by the way, next week, you got that one out of the way, now you're appointed for another world title fight, as if nothing happened. Got it wrong. In a big way, got it wrong. And it's not the first, there's been a few of them. But for me, I don't see how VAR or a camera, in any shape or form, can change that fight. How does it change it? I've watched it back. So what do? You stop the fight. Right, that's the decision. Now let's play it all back again. And we'll all sit at ringside and decide what's going to happen.
Frank, away from Nick Ball, but sticking with the theme of Saudi, obviously we're waiting for news on the 5 versus 5. I've seen Eddie Hearn say that there's talks which have gone on about potentially doing one and staging one in London later this year. What can you tell me on your behalf on that?
Not a lot. We're still in discussions.
But we could see a second round of 5 versus 5 in London?
We may see a 5v5, but I don't know where it'll be.
Just 2 more things from me. Benn versus Manny Pacquiao, there was a lot of talk about that fight last week. Somewhat took the limelight away from the event. What did you make of seeing all of that going on?
I don't think it took long. I don't think it's on that one day. I mean, I don't think it was the smartest move to do to have that to happen after the win. Look, they're going to go on it. Manny Pacquiao, what's he now? 43. Whatever it is, I'm not sure how old he is. And Connor's, we keep talking about the same background and what's all about. Let them sort themselves out, and if they're going to fight each other, they're going to fight each other. Whatever they do, I've got no influence on it. Well, what do I think of it? I don't think of it, because I think Manny Pacquiao should have retired a long time ago. But it is what it is.
Frank, just final thing from me, and just to link back to Joe, I forgot to bring it up earlier. Martin Bakole put out a sparring video, about 30 seconds of sparring footage of him and Joe, where he suggested he had the better Joyce, where he suggested he had the better of their sparring, and that only came out, I think, yesterday. It's had a lot of backlash online from first he posting it, but then obviously Sam Jones has got involved, suggesting that the rest of the spar certainly went in Joe Joyce's favour. Got involved and said that the rest of the spar was in the favour of Joe Joyce.
You can get extracts from any fight, any sparring. Someone lands a punch and you show it. For Martin Bakole to do that is a bit of a shit thing to do, and for him to do that is wrong. Sparring. I mean, I've got stuff sent to me from fighters that I'm involved with, which I could put out where they've knocked people, big names out, knocked them out. But I won't put it out there because it's wrong to do that, because it's sparring, it's private and confidential. So Martin Bakole is not doing himself any favours whatsoever. And as far as I'm concerned, I've heard lots of reports about sparring. I mean, funny thing, I was talking to a fighter who was out there, who was talking to me about Martin Bakole, saying what a big lummox he is in sparring.
I could do it.
Frank, it's a pleasure to see you. Thank you for coming to my town, bringing boxing back here.
Andy, I can't tell you, we
Mic
did it
check,
because
1,
of
2,
you.
3. Well, ladies and
Frank,
gentlemen,
enjoy the
welcome.
fight.
Testing
Safe travels
1,
back
2.
and from, and I'll see you on Saturday.
Cheers, mate.